Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers and this is Sandy 150, and we'll take you through a real quick test on how to get what you see in Substance Painter into Maya. It has everything to do with your HDR image, your high dynamic range image. It has to be in HDR. Can't be any other file format. It has to be a .hdr. So make sure that is correct when you download an HDR image. Make sure you check it. You cannot make a JPEG into an HDR image. It's impossible. And so don't try to redo the extension of the file name and putting in HDR. It won't work. So make sure you find your HDR images on reputable places like HDR Haven, which is changed now. I don't remember what it's called now, but if you just type in HDR Haven, you should be able to come up. Something else will come up. It's a different name now, but they still have free HDR images. So make sure you find one that you like. Again, I've had students ask me why doesn't the lighting look the same as Substance Painter? Well, you're not using the same HDR image. They're totally different. When you get an HDR image, maybe of a sun setting, that dynamic range is going to be different than what you have for a full sunny day. So what they're using in Substance Painter is Panorama. So let's look at that real quick. So the environment settings are right now set at Panorama. Okay, I don't have anything in here, so it's not going to show up. But that's where your environment map is. Okay, right. So how do you find that environment map? You have to go into your documents, or excuse me, your C drive. It's hard to find. Let's see if I can get it set up here real quick. All right, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go into my C drive. You're looking for program files, algorithmic, painter, resources. Environments. There we go. Found it. I hate looking for files in Substance Painter. So C drive, program files, algorithmic, Substance Painter, resources shelf, algorithmic, environments, and exterior, and there it is, Panorama. So you want to copy and paste that into your source images folder. Copy and paste it. And I've already got it set up in Maya properly here. Put it in my source images folder. I'm going to go ahead and create a cube real quick. 2 by 2 by 2. Click on create. And what we're going to want to do is, first thing is Arnold likes to have correct scale. So if this cube is 2 feet by 2 feet, then we need to go to settings and go to foot. And you want to scale that up to 2 by 2. And you get it just roughly scale it. Okay. And so what we want to do now, and this is important when you want to try to get the exact same lighting. Now I don't worry about modeling in centimeters, because I know if I do want to render and I want to get realistic rendering, then I'm going to want to scale it up to feet. Okay, so if you have if you're modeling a can of pop, that's what 6-7 inches. So you got to go in here and make sure that you're set up. Okay. All right. So with this, we're all ready to go. So I'm going to go to modeling, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete by type history and freeze transformations. All right, so I'm going to export this out. The reason why I'm not triangulating it is because we don't have any non-planar object, so it's perfectly flat on all axes, so it's good. And plus this UV map, that's another thing we need to check. Make sure the low poly is UV mapped, and it is. That's defaulted, so we're good there. That's why we're using a cube. It's quick. Export selection, OBJ, yeah. Call it like box texture. I've already done this already, so call it box texture or something like that, and go ahead and export selection. I've already done all that, so now we're going to go back into Substance Painter, go to New, find your object. I'm going to go 4096, DirectX. We don't have UDIM tiles, we just have one tile, so we don't need to click on that. So if you had UDIM tiles, you click on Use UV Tile Workflow, and you'd also click on Convert UV Tiles into Individual Texture Sets Legacy. And then open it up, and there's our cube. I'm going to be facing the Z axes. Okay. I also want to see, so we want to see the materials, so we can go in here and see the materials. If pick something that I had before, let's take a look at what I had before here. Here we go. I found this on Substance Source. It's different now. It's Adobe, and so I'm just gonna drag and drop that on here. All right, so I'm just gonna do 2. You can put any texture on here that you want. I just type in 2 on that one. Okay, that works out just fine. All right, so I'm gonna go in to see what my base color is. I'm gonna go see what my roughness is. I'm gonna see what my metallic is. Now my normal map's not gonna be working. Okay, it's pulling all the height mapped information from that. Let's go back to the material. All right, so one of the things I want to do is make sure my normal map is set up. I don't need my height map, even though I will use it. Okay, so I've got my, so you have to watch this. So now if I go in here to my normal map, it will show. And that's what I want to see. Okay, it's really important. All right, so there we go. So go back to material. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, and you can see all the parameters for this, for oxidation and all that stuff, so I'm not too worried about that right now. I do want to make sure that, so I'm not expecting, so I'm going to click off height. Okay, see how that made changes there? Okay, it's really important. That height makes a huge difference on how it looks, so I need to turn that off. You guys need to realize that if you have a texture, and you're going to need to go in here, because it can make it look off in here, because we're not using the height map, we're using the normal map. Okay, so that's not going to be as strong as the height map, so keep that turned off. So this will give us a better representation of what it's going to look like in Maya. Okay, that's really important. Okay, so if that's done, we're going to go ahead and export it out. So we got everything good. We're not going to use the height map, so that's okay. So let's go in here to export textures. This is a big one here that we need to make sure we're exporting this properly. So we need to make sure that's saving it in the right directory. So I need to go back into my documents, Maya, projects, and whatever I have for my project folder, Maya to Substance Painter Workflow. And we want that to go into my source images, and you can see I've already got a bunch of these in here, so I'm going to go in here to folder, and we're going to call this new textures, all in caps. There we go. Awesome. And select folder, Tab PBR metallic roughness, PNG 8 bits. We're going to change this to no padding pass-through. Output templates, we're going to use Arnold AI standard. If you have UDIM tiles more than one, then you would use Arnold UDIM legacy AI standard. So with this, we have two choices. If we don't like one, we can go back and bake the maps or re-export them out and use, it's either one or the other. So if you don't like what's happening here in Maya, you can go into the PBR metallic roughness. They're roughly the same. There might be some small differences in the maps when you export them out, but you have the choice of these two. Just keep that back in your memory banks here, but we're going to do this one. Okay. Okay, and list of exports. I think we got everything set up. Okay. Looks good. All right, so go ahead and export. It shouldn't take long, depending on your graphics card. Good. And the last thing I do is I go in here and do a save as, and then you can save your scene just like you do in Maya. So you can come back and make changes if you want to. I've already got it saved out, so we're good. Let's go ahead and do this again. Let's go double A on that one. Okay, we're done. So now we're ready to move on to number 2 is putting in all the texture maps. So I'll do that in the next video.